Yes, mommy. Hello. Great.
Okay. Are we able to see the screen?
It's coming up. It's saying you have. Yes, yes.
Yes, you're able to see.
Wonderful. I want to welcome you guys and I'm happy that I'm starting with men only. You know,
Oh, thanks.
this is a campaign I started as a man when I realized actually the women didn't know themselves, they didn't understand themselves. So to start with, I think in 2016, I signed a document by the UN GRZ-led campaign, the He for She campaign, where I looked at it as a challenge to me as an individual expert, as a policeman. I looked at my investigations proved a serious link between poor menstrual hygiene in women and domestic violence. So that is how I began this campaign. And thank you so much, guys, because you are the men that have joined me in this campaign today. So allow me to walk with you my case, as to why we need to invest in Bumi pads and pantliners. Investing how? Is either we invest in knowledge or either we invest in the use of the product. I know we don't use, pads ourselves as men, but it's important that we know so that we understand the challenges women go through, our daughters, our wives, it's either, I'm looking for a partner actually to invest in this technology so that it runs as a full business after this investigation. So basically, as usual, that is me. That's my tree of knowledge. Issues of gender perspectives, restoring order after hostilities, preventing violence against women and girls, development studies, I've done that. How to understand and implement the Sustainable Development Goals. I hope people understand. We have come from the Millennium Development Goals. Now we are in the Sustainable Development Goals, meaning the global challenges, the global strategies to deal with global challenges. As a policeman, I'm an investigator, interrogator. I once was in charge of the Department of Community Policing, which is under which is CSD. So where I have to work with the community, some of the challenges that bring police problems, when we don't have solutions to, we get back to the community, or we find solutions to challenges that bring crime, together with the community. So basically that's how I began this. When I looked at menstrual hygiene contributing a good number of domestic violence, which we shall learn later, I thought the only way is to give out the knowledge, give out the experience, that I've had. So I practice citizen science. You can do your own research what citizen science is. Basically a layman's understanding of the problem and the solution. Yes, of course, from knowledge that you gain from experts, I'm also the vice president of the Inventors and Innovators Association of Zambia. So that's basically about me, just to give an image of who I am. Perhaps this will make sense. You understand why I speak the way I do. So disclaimer, this has nothing to do with the police, but I'm an individual policeman. This is my 32 years experience fighting crime in general and domestic violence in particular. I define experience as knowledge gained from personal observations and conduct. What is it that I've seen done? What have I done myself in relation to, poor menstrual hygiene and domestic violence? That's my presentation today. I'll share with you. So to prove my case, it's better that I do it looking at the feature of the products. So this is how the Bumi sanitary pads, look, the sketch of the Bumi sanitary pads. I'm trying to prove my case why people need to take interest to invest in the Bumi pads and pantliners. Now, when you look at this side here, I hope we are together. You are getting me, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are following.
If you look at this pad, it says ultra soft layer that enhances softness and freshness. Then premium cotton surface, smooth surface for ultra comfort. You know, most of the pads on the market, actually, they claim this is what they provide. But with the Bumi, there's these unique features, 4 unique features about it. You know, when you look at it, it's bottom layer here. The bottom layer of the Bumi Santa pad is breathable, you know, to help eliminate moisture and heat, keeping fresh and dry. Most of the pads, if you go, Mr. Moto, you also don't have your wife with you.
Yes. No, in fact, this week I'm working from Petauke.
Okay.
I'll be going back to Chipata tomorrow.
Okay, please, I'll send you this presentation so that you share with your family. You know, if
No
you
problem.
go and check most of the pads, go and check with your wife, you know, what she's using. You find that the underlying layer is completely sealed with the plastic. Now, the danger with that is that it blocks air during her periods. You know, when that is the time she requires a lot of air to circulate. So when that happens, you know, that's how the pads end up smelling, because the moisture from the blood and the heat that develops for lack of air, then decay takes place. Actually, that's how the pads smell. Research are valuable that because of that design of the pad, when the pad is that way, in 2 hours, a woman using such a pad, she's likely to grow about 107 different types of germs per cubic centimeter of the surface area of the pad. You know, amongst the challenges which I'll show later is that she'll start developing blister-like sores, she feels itchy, you know, all those things that grow there. Why? Because of lack of air. And then the other danger is that, you know, if your pad does not allow air, what will happen? She will starve the cells at the cervix, in the uterus, in the ovaries, you know, in the fallopian tube with oxygen. And then what happens is that, you know, the moment you starve the cells in those areas with about 35% oxygen, the cells turn anaerobic, they stop breathing. So that's how you see cervical erosion up to cervical cancer. You're talking of fibroids, you're talking of ovarian cysts, you're talking of blocked tubes because the cells there start growing abnormally, the tissue start growing abnormally to block the tube, you know. To those that are married, when the tubes are blocked, they can't conceive. The ovarians are swollen, they can't conceive. Then domestic violence. You can't give me a child. Divorces occur, you know. I remember reading a report by the Lusaka local courts in 2017 that year alone, Zambia had in Lusaka alone 28,101 divorces, all from suspicion of infidelity or these challenges that women go through. But, you know, except many of them, unfortunately, people don't know that women just grow during menstruation, like we did allude to. You know, 107 different types of germs grow there, growing different diseases. You know, a good example is that you and me, men, when we put on our closed shoes or our boots, what will happen? The shoes smell there, we grow fungal infection because air doesn't go in. So that's exactly what happens to a woman. That's how we grow athlete foot. You remember, you know, those blister-like soles, the white stuff that, you know, in between our toes. That's how it grows because the shoes do not allow air, you know. So when you look at this part, this is what we call it an ion strip. An ion strip, this is a high concentration of oxygen. Remember in school, we learned anions as molecules or atoms in the air with a negative charge. So what we do, the technology harvests those natural molecules and fortify them on the pad. The whole idea is that when the blood touches here, it releases the oxygen to enhance, you know, alkalinity so that a woman does not create an environment where germs grow. And then it helps to grow her health flora there. You know, a woman has very natural health bacteria on her genitals. If you block the air, then you cause problems, an imbalance in those. That's how they grow diseases like yeast infection, you know? And then at the end of the day, you start complaining that she has an STI, when in fact it's not. So that's why we put the ion strip there. Also is to kill the pain. Women that have period pains, they struggle either to be productive at home. You know, there's what I call displaced aggression. Because of the pain she cannot contend, she becomes aggressive. You know, men, sometimes, you know, men have always said, no, kapenda kulukomene vali, that's why we're queer. You know, there's that mood the woman will have. So that pain causes that mood, displaced aggression. But this oxygen kills that pain. Why? How? Because when absorbed in the body, it relaxes the contractions. If not, it goes to, you know, to to dilute or to neutralize the excess, you know, hormones that a woman produces to allow her, you know, lose blood. Because if she produces a lot of hormones, that helps her shed blood, they may cause pain. That's how others actually even vomit when it's too much. And then also these anions, they'll go to the brain to feed the brain as natural food, natural air, to produce a natural painkiller called endorphin to come and kill the pain. That's the beauty of this pad. And most of the pads, you can ask your wives, they don't have this design. Then this part here is the glue. The underlying layer also has glue, so that when a woman puts on her pant, the pad does not, you know, shift position so that she messes herself. So most of the pads have industrial glue, but here we put a very special glue, you know, which is a natural glue, just like bubble gum, you know, which does not cause any irritation. Because when you use chemical industrial glue, a woman, what happens, even if she stops her periods, you know, during her normal days, she'll start feeling itchy because the glue there irritates the skin. And then when absorbed in the skin, it becomes a chemical that feeds the cells in the reproductive system to change the genetic makeup of the cells. Hence fibroids, hence cervical cancer, you know, ovarian cysts, blocked tubes, you know, abnormal growth of cells, you know. Then this is a super absorbent polymer core from special food grade material that is antioxidant. Actually, say here we use millimil as an absorber. You know, millimil just turned into a gel. You know, millimil is a carbohydrate, you know. So it absorbs so that doesn't allow a backflow. Now, this is the feature of the pad, and somehow this is part of my case about the product. Now, what does it mean exactly when someone decides to invest in the Bumi pads, either for knowledge only, or for using the product, or for turning it into a business, making it available? Because when you turn it into a business, you make the product available, which is not available now on the Zambian market, because, you know, the little that we had bought to test the technology, the product finished. Now, you know, when we, meaning number one, when you invest, you are reducing about 62% gynecological dysfunctions in women. This is a normal reproductive system of a woman. It's very normal. There is no injury. But, you know, if you use wrong products, this is the results. You know, these are the challenges women grow. Genital warts. You can see this is the reproductive system of a woman. Is covered by these, you know, bumps, you know, on her genitals, which is caused by a virus. Actually, a woman can grow during those 2 hours when the pad smell. One of the viruses, HPV virus type 16, grows during menstruation and causes these genital warts rather. And then it can even close the female's, you know, reproductive organ, you know, until maybe an operation that occurs. And often this is suspected as sexually transmitted infection. In a relationship, where did you find it? Domestic violence. This is urinary tract infections. You know, those germs, when a woman grows them, you know, they can go back to her reproductive system, to the kidneys. So when she tries to urinate, it's painful because the germs will spear into her skin, and then she sees bloody stains, you know. So the other one is, you know, the bacteria that causes this is called E. coli. E. coli is often known as if it's just coming from the fecal matter, but during menstruation also a woman can grow, you know, this E. coli bacteria, as long as she uses a pad that is not air permeable, you know. And it is also suspected as sexually transmitted infection. Where did you find it? So toxic shock syndrome, this is another condition which is like a zoster, you know, in women. A woman will just grow like a zoster. Then a husband will start suspecting maybe she's just HIV positive, when in fact she's not. She just grew this bacteria during menstruation, you know. This is the name of the bacteria, very difficult name to pronounce. Staphylococcus, whatever it is, you know. This germ can also grow during menstruation. Maybe suspected as, you know, a HPV virus for, you know, even somebody who is suspected that she's, you know, suffering from a symptom of, someone who has HIV and AIDS? No, it's just a bacteria that she grows. Sometimes suspected as STI. Where did you find it? As an issue of domestic violence. This is vaginitis, the whitish thing. You as a man, when you meet your wife, when you come out, you're coming out with white stuff, that is smelly. It's just that, this is infection because of lack of air or hormonal imbalance. When the bacteria, the health bacteria in the woman's genitals, when there's an imbalance because no air goes in, it causes an imbalance, then the yeast, the fungus grow there, by this type of bacteria. And then it is suspected as STI. Where did you find it? Because you can contract it actually as a man. When you come out, even if she cleans you, it will remain. Then you start developing sores, like, also a man on your genitals, like these sores, genital herpes. This is what happens to a man. You can have also these blister-like sores on your manhood, or a woman, this is how she gets damaged at the end of the day, because of these, also suspected as sexually transmitted infections. We have PID, pelvic inflammatory disease. When the tubes here are swollen, there's an infection here because of the 2 hours period when air doesn't go in. A woman is likely to grow 107 different types of germs per cubic centimeter of the surface area of the pad. That's how you grow these, suspect as STI, when in fact she's innocent. This is endometriosis. Yes, this is it can also be caused during menstruation from a backflow. If a woman uses a pad that is not absorptive enough, that when she sits, because she can't always be standing, that pad allows a backflow, then it will be like retrograde menstruation, menstruation that is done in reverse. So when the blood goes back into a system, it goes nowhere. It just collects here, a thin layer of skin collects there, and then it's painful, and then you find that, a man, they might think maybe they have cervical cancer symptoms in between periods. They find that their underwear is stained with blood. And then they get confused, just that, they use the product that allows a backflow, or they confuse their hormones, that the system, instead of coming out, it goes in reverse motion. This will cause, the ovaries to start rotting as ovarian cysts. That is the danger of using pads that do not allow air, that pads that are not well absorptive, because this pad, Bumi, can absorb up to 40 mils without a backflow. That's a flow for about, 24 hours. Now, coming up to cervical cancer, I did allude to already. If the pad does not allow air here, it means the woman will starve her cells with the oxygen, and then the cells start dying. Or if a woman uses a pad which was made from recycled material, which they use the chemicals to bleach that material to make it clean, those chemicals remain in the pad. So when the pad wets, it means she feeds her cervix here with the chemical compounds, and then she changes the genetic makeup of the cells. And then the cervix gets damaged as cervical erosion and eventually cervical cancer. Men are always in trouble here, that, they are the ones that have brought this disease, because it's, on the street, it's common language in public domain that, men actually infect women, those that are not circumcised, with this virus, because, if you have a foreskin, you are likely to grow that, that virus there. But even in Northwestern province, where I've had people for years, circumcising, we still have cervical cancer. The question is, where is the problem? This is one of the things people don't know. I'm talking about fibroids, like I did allude to. Some fibroids can be a kg, 4 kg of just the size of a baby. The moment you close air here in a woman, it doesn't allow air to come here. These cells here start dying, and they start growing abnormally to the disadvantage of the host. When this grows to block the ovaries there, she stops ovulating and thinking she's pregnant, when it's just a tumor. And if it's in the village, it means the oldest woman in the village is a witch. How did we grow a tumor instead of a child? These are the challenges people don't know. So this can cause miscarriages, no child, and then what happens? People, the marriage breaks as domestic violence. They lose their marriage when in fact she's innocent. I'm talking of ovarian cyst, the guy added a lot to the blood that could collect here, the ovaries start rotting. A woman, even if she's ovulating, the eggs are dead eggs, she can't have a child. And then she has a problem in a marriage. The husband tells her to go to her parents, Then there's the common genital fungal infection, brownish fungus here, which is also suspected as STI. This fungus can be teni, can be grown during menstruation, as long as a pad does not allow air to circulate. As long as a pad is not good, it's not absorptive, it's not well absorptive, she's likely to grow those challenges, Then, other conditions that, we're talking of itchy skin, just a scratch on the genitals because of industrial glue, the menstrual disorders, period pains like you did, the hormonal imbalance, causing menstrual disorders, bleeding disorders, all those, if a pad is not good enough to allow air to circulate, because air contains negative ions, quality natural air, which is required in the woman's reproductive system. Now, what does it mean also? Meaning number two, we're talking of, if people invest in the knowledge in Bumi pads, invest in the usage and in the business of this, what will happen is that you're going to protect a lot of lives. Yeah, you're going to increase about 34.3% class attendance in school-going girls. These are the girls that came to my shop after I did a presentation at the school. I donated these pads to them. Then they came to my office and told me, sir, for the first time since I became a girl, I've never had my period pains. And I was able to be in class. Then I'm absconding from class. If you read this, if you read this document by Minister of General Education, on page 19, it says the common cotton and cloth that even Minister of Education itself is advocating now is actually unhygienic. That's the research that was done by, UNZA in partnership with the ministry. But how they continue, advocating for cloth, I don't understand. When something is unhygienic, it means it's unclean. It has ability to grow bacteria. You just check what the word unhygienic mean, So those are the challenges. But this is what we are going to help your girls. How do they explain? Some women explain period pains as if someone has just put a chainsaw into the womb and is cutting their womb. Or they explain to it as, as if there's an army fighting in their womb with different types of weapons, not even a gun, but knives, laser blades, name them. Those that are funny, we have talked already about endometriosis, which sorry for these pictures, except for men. I think, let me just warn you that the pictures I'm showing here, some of them are very sensitive, but if I don't show, then people will not know the truth. You might be either a victim or you might be a perpetrator. So the best I can do is to show these pictures. So they might be sensitive. So I'm talking about domestic violence. This is a woman, instead of a man going in, he puts a knife because he suspects that, this woman is promiscuous. When she has just grown these infections during menstruation, this is another woman being assaulted here, and this is another woman being assaulted there, being suspected, but when she's innocent. This is a man who became a victim because, a woman, the wife thought he had brought a disease. One of my officers actually suffered, this challenge, except he survived it himself. He was lucky I was there. I rushed him to the hospital because the wife in the morning was diagnosed of genital herpes, and the doctor suspecting that, this is an STI. What did he do? The woman already on just that diagnosis, it became a psychological and, abuse. Where did I find it? I think my husband, he comes late in the evening. He's the one who has brought me this disease. All she did, buy a brand new laser blade. At the time she pretends to make love, then cuts off the manhood, as punishment. When in fact, the whole truth, when the man was examined, he didn't have the disease. but she had it. Where did you find it? Interrogating her, she told me that, usually I feel these itchiness, during menstruation, just to inform her that actually, your husband is innocent. You are just growing those diseases because you're using a wrong technology of a sanitary pad. Now, what does it mean also to invest in Bumi pads? Meaning number 4, you are investing in less tears, Women will not have to be a captive market anymore. They'll not have to pay the price. You are investing in correct understanding of the challenges women go through during menstruation, better understanding menstrual infections. That's the meaning, So, meaning number 5, what does it mean to invest in the Bumi pads? It's business with a mission. You're not just doing business for money. You are doing business to protect lives, the lives of women and girls. When I define health, I define it as the level of functional and metabolic efficiency of the body. Just from technology and design, it becomes a functional product to prevent all these challenges women go through. And for you to reach that level of functional and metabolic efficiency of the body, there's what it takes. One of what it takes is the knowledge that we are sharing now, and also using the technology, the correct technology, so that you don't have those conditions. Yeah, briefly, what I'm talking about, the anions and all the materials that we use in this technology, including algae there, it enhances alkalinity. It's an antioxidant to prevent the growth of disease. This doctor says there's no disease that can exist in an alkaline environment, including cancer, nothing. If we invest, this is what we are going to achieve, the Sustainable Development Goals, well-being, the state of being comfortable, health, and happy. So we respond to the social determinants of health. When you look at what we have shared already, it's just that women can grow disease from wrong technology that they consume, that they use, Then we reduce about, the domestic violence, gynecological challenges, we remove the symptoms. So there'll be no reason for suspicion. It's an income generating venture, which is SDG number 1 on reducing poverty. People can take it as a business. New jobs, you make money for yourself. We're talking about SDG number, all these SDGs where you prevent period pain, increase on class attendance, more reproductive hours in women. They will not have these discomforts. We're talking of innovation, SDG number 9, which is new ideas, new products, because Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. So partnership, we're talking about, we come together. If people have resources, who do you know can have these resources so that we invest in this technology? And then it's possible to reduce the price, just like condoms are. Because, sex is a choice. When actually menstruation is not a choice, a woman will have to go through the process, she likes it or not. If people can invest in condoms, where sex is a choice, why can't people invest, in a sanitary pad? That is my contention, summary of what we are going to deal with, the global challenges. These are global challenges. Some of the Sustainable Development Goal, sustainable development, and the climate change. These pads can absorb up to 40 meals. It means instead of a woman using about 12 pads in a day, she just needs 1 in the day and 1 in the night. You reduce to about 2 only, and you protect the environment, and the product is biodegradable. They just wrote because they're using food grade material. We prevent diseases here, talking about preventing 62% gynecological dysfunction. We are increasing class hours to school going women and girls. We're preventing conflicts in relationship, marriages. Remember I said we prevent also period pains, can also prevent early pregnancies and early marriages for school-going girls, because when they're in pain, usually in the villages and in the community, they're told that this pain will only go when they start having children or when they get pregnant. So they would rather, if the pain is so painful, they would rather, become pregnant so that, the pain goes. So we improve the status of women, we reduce on crime, issues of science and technology. Science is all about grade 5 science. We are taught that science is nature study. Yeah? But, if you have to be technical, it's also about, understanding nature. Understanding nature and how it operates. But technology is all about practical application of scientific knowledge in the industry. So, these are some of the global challenges that we are going to achieve. Now, how affordable is this? Like I said, my first quest was that, we prove the product efficacy, which we have managed because I've been given approval by Zamra that, this is perfect technology. If you read that document I shared with you under Ministry of Health, General Education, actually on page 19, this pad was voted as the maximum super pad. If you don't have that document, I can send you that page, you look at what they're talking about. It was voted as the maximum super pad. You see? So what you're doing is that, what you need is to make a product available, so that, because menstruation is not a choice, but it's a necessity. So instead of the women paying their necessary price as gynecological dysfunctions, we can advocate that, we find people that can invest into this product and help our women live healthy lives. So it means also, the women who actually will thank you for, for investing in the technology. If you're a man, if you have never bought your wife a pad and you buy her this pad, that will be the best gift they'll ever thank you with. Yeah? How many men here Mr. Moto, have you ever bought a pad for a wife?
Yes. Yeah, I've bought, but I've not opened to check it. No, I've just bought and given her.
Because she sent you, isn't it?
No, not really. Normally I do once a while.
Okay. So this will be now a reason why you buy Bumi and the perfect and correct sanitary pad. Now, it's your choice as a husband, as a parent, whether you want your wife, your children to be victims of these gynecological challenges that women have, when they are from 25 years and above. Now, this year's theme, I picked a few themes from different countries about this year, tomorrow's theme on menstrual hygiene, to create a world where no woman or girl is held back because they menstruate by 2030. I'm just not talking about, to me, it matters actually the type of sanitary pad a woman uses, not anything that she finds on the shelf, and I'm seriously committed, to this education. That's why I spend time. Now, if we don't close these, we don't patch these holes, it means the women will continue being a captive market. And then the women will continue paying their necessary price as in diseases. This guy is seated here, and this is the challenge. A lot of people, the more we advocate that we give our girls in schools pads, as long as we give the wrong pad, it means we'll have a problem. We are going to increase the number of women with these gynecological challenges. I want you to do one research. You discover that every year we have over 3,000 women, new women that are diagnosed of these gynecological challenges. And, and exactly almost that number, 2,000 plus, every year they die. Or just checking the population, figures on Zambia, I was worried because it's like now men are getting to be more men than more women. Why? Because we lose a lot of women every year. So you can learn something new every day if you listen. And that is, I hope I've made my case. That is me helping to walk the talk against, poor menstrual hygiene and domestic violence. I hope things make sense. As I come out of the boots in the next 1 year, I thought maybe people could know what I know, so that, I'm not guilty of not having shared this knowledge. Now, what is legacy? When I talk about legacy, it's not about money or fame. It's about the number of lives you have touched. We have over 9 million Zambian women that need the technology and the product. The question, as the Bible says in Amos chapter 3, can two walk together unless they agree? So that is why I began walking the talk against poor menstrual hygiene. Thank you so much for listening. Please, you can ask me questions on the WhatsApp group or direct on my link, because it's like I don't have time the time is over. I only have a few seconds remaining. Any comment in these 30 seconds?
From my end, I think I'm really honored for this because I'm surprised with the knowledge that which you have. Looking at the background as a police officer. So I can see that we have innovators in Zambia. All we need is if we can put our heads together, I think we can do a lot.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
maybe the last thing I would want to